Hello and welcome to another video. This week's prompt is insect. This is one of my favourite parts when I first read the prompt word and search it on Pinterest and just start sketching and drawing and seeing what I can come up with. This one was quite difficult. I seem to say that about all the prompts, but this one was just so open and that made it all the more challenging. After drawing those few insects, I designed a character from a bee, and I realised that I draw bees a lot. Like a lot. There's about 4 paintings of mine that have multiple bees in them. I like bees, but I don't understand why they keep popping up in my illustrations. Now onto painting. These are just from photos, so all I have to do is just copy the colours from there. But that purple one down the bottom, I don't know what colours, there was just like this galaxy on its back. It was quite amazing. The 4-armed creature that I drew turned out pretty creepy. I think it's the fluffy texture combined with that weird grey bald head with antennas. And this worried me a little because it was literally the only idea I had, making a bee-inspired character, and it turned out awful. So I really had to figure out how much of it I wanted to be bee and how much just normalish human. So I had to decide what I wanted to take from this creepy character. I really liked the 4 arms, and I wanted to incorporate the black and yellow colours that you find in a bee somehow into the illustration, but I had to make sure it wasn't overpowering like the first drawing. Now, because I'm not used to drawing on a flat surface, I always drew on a slanted surface so I could see what I'm doing. I realised that she was tilting slightly to the right, which gave me the idea of her balancing on a tree branch, which really improved the outcome of the painting, I found. So sometimes little mistakes like that can change the whole outcome of your illustration. And when I was sketching in all the details, I drew her holding these bags of freshly collected honey. And I realised that bees don't just go to flowers and scoop out buckets of honey. They collect pollen, which they turn into food for themselves. So I had to make her holding these clumps of pollen instead of bags of honey, and they look like pom-poms. I'll probably sound a little monotone and half dead in this video because I was just getting over a cold the other week, so yes. And even at this point, I still had no idea how I was going to colour it. I was so scared of ruining it because, unlike digital art, you only get one chance with traditional, unless you like scan it into the computer, but goodness knows how you do that. So I started the terrifying journey of colouring it. Still wasn't sure what I was going to do. But for the insects, I drew a ladybug and some bees, so I was thinking I could combine those two to make something reasonably pleasing to look at. So I just did the skin tone and started on the background because we all need to practice backgrounds. For the background, I used the wet on wet technique, which is putting a layer of clean water down first, then applying your paint. And watching the paint flow into the water is so nice. The wet on wet technique is a great way to quickly test colours in your painting to see if they will work or not with the rest of the illustration. So you apply water to the surface of the paper, so that's what soaks into the paper. And then you can apply your paint and it's not going to dry straight away, so you have some time to see if it works with the rest of the illustration, and then if it doesn't you can just dab it up with a tissue, which evidently is how I create clouds in my backgrounds. So I apply the blue wash and then before it dries I get a tissue and dab shapes, and it creates really natural looking clouds. I decided that I would just use the primary colours to colour this illustration so I wouldn't get overwhelmed with choosing colours. So I've got the blue sky that blends into yellow, and a red ladybug and red-orange for her shirt, and a splattering of yellow around the whole illustration. And the black and yellow from the bee, I had a lot of trouble figuring out where to place it on her design, but I ended up adding these, I don't know what you'd call them, the black and yellow things hooking around her from her back, which almost makes it look like she's got clip-on wings. That wasn't intended. I preferred her having actual wings because it made sense of her 6 limbs because she's inspired by an insect. And for the ladybug inspiration, it took me a while, but I ended up giving her the red shirt and black gloves and boots. I really like the addition of the grey hair and the grey shorts because I couldn't figure out what colour to do her shorts, so I just made them grey. You know what I really like about these videos? The first paintings I do at the start. Like, even if you don't watch the whole video and just stop by for a few seconds, at least you get to see something, some fun little doodles in my large sketchbook. And they'd probably look terrible if I left them unpainted, but because I paint them, they're like little bonus illustrations for you. I really enjoy them. There's something that I do occasionally. I don't add masking tape until after I do the line work. Now, I love having a blank border around my illustrations, but having line work unpainted around the border, it's really interesting looking at the change from white to fully illustrated. So that's another prompt illustrated. Thank you so much for watching and keep drawing. Oh wait, I have a subscriber. Thank you so much to my new subscriber.